Lucas and I are back with some of the more interesting topics of discussion in the world of sports, both home and abroad. So let the debate begin.
All right, Ben. As you said earlier, Benny Moss was released from his deal last week. Ben, what do you have to say about his tenure here at UNCW?
Well, his tenure here at UNCW, it was not a great one. He went 41-74 overall, 22-42 in conference. I guess the best thing that can be said about the settlement is that he was given $225,000 a lump sum as opposed to $540,000 over 3 years. So we are saving money that way. What do you think?
Yeah, we definitely saved some money over the time. I think that, him getting demoted, I don't know about this, but I can only imagine that sitting in that office every day, watching Buzz Peterson walk around, watching everybody walk around, everybody knows he got taken out of his job and now he's sitting here in the office. Special assistant to the athletic director, I don't know what he was doing. I'm sure he was doing some stuff, behind the scenes, but it's got to be a little awkward. There's got to be some tension, and I'm sure he just wants to wrap up this part of his life and move on. He's got a family. I'm sure he's trying to, expand his career further from here.
Well, I hope he does. He had no defining victories here or postseason appearances. A.D. Mertens gave him a contract through 2013. That, looking back, was not the wisest decision. Sitting in the corner or sitting in the tiny office, probably. I can just imagine. It seemed like they were just keeping him around because they didn't really want to just pay him to sit on his butt at home, and it's good that they reached a settlement.
Yeah, it's almost sad the way the school kind of handled everything with him. They, like you said, they just kind of kept him around. They didn't want to pay him all his money and get him out of there, so they kind of just kept him around. And I think they just kind of waited until this day came when he said, "All right, I want out of here." Absolutely.
Well, the women's soccer team hosted the Hilton Garden Inn Invitational this weekend. We were both there for both the games, Lucas. So, what did you think?
Well, I think there's a lot of media surrounding the men's team. I think the women's team really have a solid team going on. They got a really good foundation. I was very impressed with them this weekend. They gave away that first game. Every player on that team will tell you themselves they gave away that game. Starting up 2-0, 16 minutes left in the game to lose. Not even bring it into overtime, to give up 3 goals in 16 minutes, that's tough. And then to come back and really win 4-0, that shows a lot of heart.
It really does. Stephanie Rose leading the way. Her and Sarah Nealon and Amanda Holmes looked brilliant out on the pitch. Great overall effort, I got to say. After the loss on Friday night, it was really, we were on the field talking to Coach Kearney, and it seemed like you could just feel demoralization in the air. And for them to come back and rebound so strongly Sunday afternoon against what, for all intents and purposes, looked to be a strong Gardner-Webb opponent early on at least. They had some really athletic-looking people. It was a great win, and I hope that it will carry on to the rest of the season, especially the next game.
Yeah, you got to hope it does. And like you said, Paul Kearney, you could just see the looks in everybody's faces. And for him to, in 2 days' time, to really just gather that group of girls, say, all right, we got to put this one behind us. And, we talk to players, too, and that's what he preaches to them. One game is one game. You got to take that loss or win, put it behind you, and get ready for the next one. So you got to be impressed with the way they played, and you got to be impressed with them coming out with that big victory in the second game. Moving on, last weekend was the start of the college football season, and 2 North Carolina teams had stellar finishes. Which one was better, Ben? ECU Tulsa or UNC LSU?
ECU Tulsa, clearly. First of all, this is Coach Ruffin McNeil's debut as head coach. 51-49. That was the final score. They totaled 100 points. Tulsa had a lot of opportunities to win the game. If you look at they tried 3 two-point conversions that failed, had a blocked field goal. There were 10 touchdowns in the last 10 drives. Wow. This was the most exciting game of the year so far. It was on a Sunday afternoon, so it got all the attention.
Yeah, it was one of those games, where you just kind of feel like whoever had the ball last was going to win. It was an offensive slug out. You got to see some quarterbacks really throwing the ball. But how about that last play? That catch was stellar. I mean, I've seen some Hail Marys. You always got to talk about Boston College. that Hail Mary. And all those great ones. Yeah, Doug Flutie, but. Boy, man, he just went up there. He did his Larry Fitzgerald. He went up there and got that ball.
6'8", came down with the ball, but no helmet. Justin Jones, freshman receiver. They're already talking about in the mass media on ESPN that this guy could be a pro prospect because of his height and his clutch ability. And this is after 1 catch.
6'8"?
6'8".
6'8"?
Dominic Davis,
Dude,
the quarterback.
Should be playing basketball. 6'8". Get him over here at UNCW. We need some big guys playing basketball. Man, I mean, a wide receiver like that, it's literally like Larry Fitzgerald. They just go up and catch it. But look, that Tar Heel game was a great game too. I was really impressed with Yates. He played real well, 28 for 46, 400-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. With all the drama surrounding them this past week, for them to come together and play that hard against a good LSU team in Atlanta, I was impressed. You can't be that upset with it.
All right, and the final topic this week is the always entertaining but rarely politically correct Floyd Mayweather Jr., who this past week unleashed a tirade on boxing opponent Manny Pacquiao. Was this just an attempt to become relevant again?
You know, this fight, people have been talking about this fight for 2 years now, it seems. It was on, it's off. He wants a drug test, he won't drug test. He wants a blood test, he won't blood test. You know, no matter what's going on here, I don't think this fight's ever going to happen. I'll be honest. I think it's just a lot of hype. And God, Mayweather was out of line. If you know, we can't even mutter the things that he said on air. He was racist. He was rude. He was derogatory. And honestly,
homophobic.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from. What is this guy so angry about? He's arguably one of the best boxers of this generation.
It was the most racist, cowardly video I've ever seen in my life. He used multiple Asian ethnic slurs. The tamest one that I can repeat on air is that he said he commanded Pacquiao to cook him up some dog. What is that?
I don't know.
Pacquiao had a gracious response by saying that it was a miseducated statement. And just think about this. If an opponent had told Mayweather to cook him up some collard greens, what would the public outcry be?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's just tough. I don't know what's going on. I hope we can see the fight because I'd love to see Pacquiao.
I think it'll happen. That's one thing we disagree on. It'll happen. Pacquiao will kill him. Well, that wraps it up for this edition of Seahawks Central Sports. Special thanks to UNCW Athletics, specifically Joe Browning, Tom Rorden, Jerry Abelson, and soccer coaches Paul Kearney and Aiden Heaney for their interviews.
We'd also like to thank Dustin Miller and UNCW TV as well as the Communication Studies Department. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more news, highlights, and exclusive interviews for you.
In the meantime, check us out on YouTube/TealTV 2010. I'm Ben Tyson here with Lucas Haskins saying sayonara, Seahawks.